And the epitome of Christianity in this country is one pastor, Ezekiel Odero. All state agencies have been told, train your guns on Pastor Ezekiel. So this will come to an end. I have full instructions from the church and from Pastor Ezekiel to assure every follower in this country that Pastor Ezekiel has no connection to Shakahola massacres. Every time they want to link Pastor Ezekiel to that, it has failed. They have now gone to deal with it. What is the law on taxation of churches? Because that is where we need to look at what the law says on the issue of taxes. It is very, very clear. I don't want to quote anything outside. I want to be very, very explicit to everybody that the law does not this is the position of the law. Paragraph 10 of the first schedule of the income tax stipulates that gains or profits from the business activities of organizations such as churches are exempt from taxation if they are used for religious purposes or by their beneficiaries for work in connection to religious purposes or are rent incomes. This means that if the profits realized by churches are plowed back to be used by members, the tax exemption applies. There is no law in this country to tax churches. But for Pastor Ezekiel, he's the first one. His church was closed. History. He's the first one the government wants to tax. There's a big, big plan. One, either to forcibly take over the properties of the church. Two, the attempt to link Pastor Ezekiel to genocide is for him to be jailed out of the country all his life so that they can be able to take these properties, or the mass murder. We have very firm instructions to say that Pastor will not relent. Pastor will stand with the faith of Jesus Christ, and his soul and body are in agreement, and the legal team. Me and Cliff are leading the legal team in Mombasa. Samson Nyaberi and his team are leading the legal team in Nairobi. We anticipate by tomorrow there'll be around 4 or 5 other court matters in different courts in this country, but we are determined to defend Pastor Ezekiel. I've sent you a copy of both that application and the certificate.
To inform the nation of what has been happening, we were able to file an application in Nairobi Chief Magistrate's Court, basically wanting to discharge the orders that were issued, ostensibly stopping the operations of the account run by the church. That is the church which Pastor Ezekiel controls, and the schools. In that said application also, there were orders or prayers that certain Safaricom numbers also be investigated, and that is what made us to come to court for purposes of now discharging those orders, because the same orders were in issue in Mombasa High Court, where my colleague Danstan and Cliff were, where they were trying to also have the church account open, and also the accounts that are in relation to the matters that the DCI had trained their ears on. Now, I also want to mention that there is also another matter, another suit that was filed in Shanzu Law Courts, also in relation to the very, very aspects and issues that they had filed before the Chief Magistrate of Nairobi. Now, to just bring this point home is that the applicants are from the office of the DCI, filing the suit through the office of the DPP, and not making any disclosure whatsoever that there are more than 3 suits, all geared towards investigations to the accounts and operations of the New Life Ministries as run by Pastor Ezekiel. So we are going to come to court tomorrow because that is what the court ordered. Inter partes hearing is tomorrow before the Honorable Magistrate, Hubi, where we are going to argue that those orders ought not to have been issued in the first instance. Remember, the High Court is seized of this matter in Mombasa. The High Court is going to deliver its findings on that particular application in Mombasa, and we are foreseeing a situation where the court is going to be embarrassed by way of issues of orders in Nairobi by Chief Magistrates Court, which is a subordinate court, and by way of issues of orders by Shanzu Law Court, which is also a subordinate court, and all those other issues attendant to the matters that are before the Nairobi Court and Shanzu Court also being dealt by the judge of the High Court in Mombasa. So in essence, we are saying, or we'll be arguing the application tomorrow, that those orders ought not to have been issued in the first place, because again, there's a new twist that the DCI and the cronies are training on in terms of the compliance by the church in running its affairs, that they have not been doing returns and they have not been complying with the law. So it is a convoluted kind of thing, and we are just saying, and we are going to agitate that indeed the Pastor Ezekiel has been compliant in all aspects, and these non-disclosures that are being undertaken from Nairobi, from Shanzu, are messing up the issues that are for hearing in Mombasa High Court. Otherwise, since I'm the one based in Nairobi, those are the issues that I wanted to bring to your attention. Otherwise, I leave the same to my colleague, Mr. Omari, to proceed and brief you on what has been happening in Mombasa, and the more reason why they are here awaiting the ruling on Monday and directions on Monday. Karibu Omari.